What is rent to rent? I'm going to help you with that right here, right now. So rent to rent is a fantastic property strategy to build a business if that's what you so desire. But you can also do this alongside your own sort of buy-to-lets or having your own investment business as well. Rent to rent is brilliant if you're just looking at getting started in the property industry. You don't have any big deposits to buy properties. You know, if you want to be a landlord and you want to buy properties, most cases you have to find at least 25% of the purchase price. But when you do rent to rent deals, you don't have to have those large chunks of cash. You can take control of other people's properties, manage them a bit like a letting agent, and make sure that you're doing a good job. They get paid because we pay them a guaranteed rent, and we get paid on the uplift on the rent. Let me explain a little bit more about this. So there's two different ways that you can do rent to rent. You can do either HMOs, houses of multiple occupation. This is where you rent a property out on a room by room basis. So you may have a property that's got 4 or 5 bedrooms. You rent each of the bedrooms out individually rather than the whole house to, say, a family. Now, a lot of the times, different people will rent the rooms. So you'll have different people from different families. These are called HMOs. Now, if you have a 4-bed or over, in most places, you have to have what is called an HMO license on the property. Now, this means that it is a fully compliant and licensed HMOs. So you need to check with your local councils for those sort of things and see what regulations you have in your area. Another way to do rent to rent is with serviced accommodation, Airbnb, short-term rentals, you name it. The properties that you see that you can let by the night or by the weekend or by the week. Fundamentally, a lot of this started in holiday destinations, so places that were coastal, and you would go and you'd rent a whole apartment for, say, 3 nights or 3 days, go there with your family or just go there as a couple or on your own, stay in this place, and this is known as a short-term rental. We call this serviced accommodation, but again, it can be called Airbnb, rent to SA, all of the different names are there for you. But this is where we let the properties out on a short-term let basis. And you can do this with different clients or customers, or you can do this with corporate companies, all of those sorts of things as well. It's very, very popular at the moment. But both of these strategies, i.e. HMOs and short-term rentals, are brilliant to use with rent to rent. Now, some people, if they're just getting started, think, oh, I like the idea of rent to rent, but what is it all about? So why rent to rent is so good and works well is because there are landlords out there who have properties that they need to get better rentals on, or they need them managed for them. There's a lot of tired landlords out there. Now, sometimes they have letting agents to do this for them, and of course that's great, but not all letting agents are geared up or are suited to run HMOs. Okay, let's just talk about HMOs for a minute. So in that case, we can go in there, we can ask these landlords who already have HMO licenses on the property, they're already set up, existing HMOs. That keeps our costs down. We can go and offer our services and manage the properties for them. A lot of people get negative about this because they think to themselves, well, I don't know anything about running a property. So if I'm looking at getting into property, I don't really know how to do this strategy, but I like the idea of it because there's no deposits. I've never paid a deposit on a property, and I've never paid for a refurbishment on a property either. Now, that's not to say I wouldn't if the deal was right, but I help my students and I show them how to negotiate deals where they're not paying deposits, because we're not a tenant, we're a business at the end of the day, where we're not paying for massive refurbs. Remember, we're going to manage these properties, whether it's serviced accommodation or whether it's HMOs, but we don't own the property. So a couple of the drawbacks with using rent to rent as a strategy is we don't own the property. We get no capital uplift when the prices of the properties go up. And of course, it's great to own the property because you will get that capital growth as and when it happens. And of course, there's no guarantees always that it will happen. But if we look over history and you follow and track history of property prices, they do tend to go up, and they do tend to go up quite nicely as well. You don't get that on rent to rent, but rent to rent is a cash flowing strategy. So we're not looking for the big chunks of change or selling the property. We're looking to bring in cash flow right here, right now from these deals. And that in turn can help you then later on buy your own properties or do a purchase lease option or use other strategies to get hold of the properties so that you then own the asset, and of course you benefit from the capital growth, which realistically you only really benefit from if you're either remortgaging it once the capital growth's gone up, or you're selling it and taking that money back out. But you want to have good cash flowing deals. You want to have good cash flowing properties in good areas with good high rental or market demand. Okay? So rent to rent is where you take a property, a landlord's property. It could be a house, could be a flat, could be anything. Okay? Let's just say for argument's sake we're going to do HMOs again. Well, we'll stick with this. I will move on to serviced accommodation as well. But an HMO, so let's say it's 5-bedroom HMO. You can put students in there, contractors, blue collar workers, anybody you want. Don't mix it, just try and have one set. So if you're going to have students, don't put professionals in with students. Have a student house, so to speak. If it's going to be blue collar workers, make sure it's filled with that tenant type. So we need to look at your area and see what is right. But you take the house from a landlord and you manage it, as I said before, like a letting agent. But we don't need to have as many properties as letting agents because we don't have the massive overheads. We haven't got a shop front. We haven't got all of these things, and we don't need them either. If you look at estate agencies and things like that, like Purple Bricks and Strike, they don't have offices. They are an online business, and that's what we are. So if you ever hear anybody saying, well, don't go with those renters, they don't even have an office, they don't even have a shop. You don't need an office, you don't need a shop, okay? We're not looking at being massive, we're looking at working with the right landlords or agents and building up a nice portfolio. And everything's online these days. You don't need to have a shop front. So we save a lot of money or a lot of our profits through being leaner when we're looking after the properties. But we take the property and we offer the landlord a guaranteed rent each month. Now, if you've ever been a landlord or you've ever owned properties, then you know that you will have voids. You could have problems with tenants. You could have all sorts of different things. But what we do is, and what I show my clients are on the Rent to Rent Business Builder, is how to do this in a cost effective and safe manner. Okay, we can't have every eventuality covered, but we get most of them covered. And if you follow my processes and my steps, because I've been here, done this a long time now, then you put yourself in a really good position. Okay, we only get the best tenants. We have guarantors on those tenants, of course as well. And equally, we offer a guaranteed rent. So let's say we have a 5-bed HMO. Now where I am, the prices will vary. If you're in London, it's going to be a lot more. But let's just keep the numbers nice and simple. Let's say for argument's sake, I've got a 5-bed HMO in my area that makes £2,500 per calendar month in rents. Okay, £500 per room. Once I have taken off what I charge, which is normally £100 per room, so I want to make £500 from this 5-bed property in my area. It may be completely different in numbers in your area, but let's just go with these numbers now. Obviously, you can look at the room rates in your area. Just check out Rightmove, just check out Spare Room and all of those sort of things. I want to make £500. That leaves £2,000 left that we could potentially pay the landlord. Now, if you do offer to take on the bills and utilities, and you don't have to, but if you do that, you need to be deducting that off of the £2,000 that's left. So let's take off £600, £700, £800 for the council tax, for the utilities, for the Wi-Fi, for the cleaning and everything. Okay, I have a deal analyzing spreadsheet that you can download yourself to do this and start practicing and using at thepropertyunleashed.com. We also have a 10-step rent-to-rent guide ebook that you can download completely free, and a serviced accommodation one as well. So go over to thepropertyunleashed.com and download those free resources now. And if you can see links below, if you're listening to this or watching this, of course, if you're watching this on YouTube, there will be links in the comments below that you can just click on and you can get those for yourself and read up about those. But you want to take that off. So you take off the utility prices and everything, and that could be what it is in your area. So let's say, for argument's sake, everything all in is £800. We take that off at £2,000. We can then offer the landlord £1,200 guaranteed rent each month. They won't have a void. They won't have anything else to worry about. We take care of the minor maintenance issues, you know, light bulbs, door handles, leaky valves, stuff like that. They can have, of course, cover on their white goods, on their boilers and everything else, and have house insurance as well. We take away the complete hassle. They are safe in the knowledge that their rents aren't going to be going up and down with people leaving and coming and going. We will pay them a set rent. Now, on serviced accommodation, short-term rentals, again, what we are looking to do then, and I always say, most people will say, you need to do your numbers and it needs to wash its face at 75% occupancy. I like to say that at 50% myself. Go in there really low, because I'll tell you what, if it stacks at 50%, happy days. So make sure that it at least washes its face each month. It covers all your costs, and it covers the rents that you're going to be paying the landlord at 50% occupancy. Okay? Again, you can work this one out using the deal analyzing spreadsheet. So for SA, it can be a little bit more expensive. You need to make sure the landlords know what you're doing with their property as well, and they're on board with it. Okay, because we don't want to be breaking any terms in leases. If it's an apartment, you have to make sure you're allowed to do this in the buildings. And of course, if it's mortgaged, we need to make sure we're not breaking any terms of the mortgage. But as long as everything there is okay, we can dress the properties nicely. We can start advertising those. Now, you will advertise those on the likes of Airbnb, Booking.com, among others. There's loads of places actually. And we have the ultimate serviced accommodation business builder program that can take you through just how to build a six-figure serviced accommodation business using rent to rent and other strategies as well. It's not just one strategy that you can use there. There's numerous different strategies that you can use to really build a successful business. And Graham Linley is my serviced accommodation expert and can help you do that. But anyway, you do exactly the same. You offer a guaranteed rent to the landlord. Now, with interest rates going up, a lot of single let properties that are just let to a couple or a family aren't going to stack, because the interest rates have gone up now, and the rents that they're getting in will only just wash its face. They're not going to make any money. When interest rates were lower, when potentially they bought these properties, they were going to make more money. So what you can do is you can come in here and you can offer them maybe above market rent. So they are going to make more from the properties, guarantee that, and then you work on filling them with clients, with corporate guests on a short-term rental basis. I wanted to keep this video pretty simple, okay? Pretty straightforward and pretty simple, so that people can grasp the concept of what rent to rent is all about. Trust me, it's a fantastic strategy when done right and done correctly. But there are a lot of people that aren't doing it right and aren't doing it correctly and are getting the wrong information. And that is why I put together the Rent to Rent Business Builder program, where we show you step by step through training and coaching how to do this and be successful, and to make sure that your numbers are good, that you're going to do the best job, you're going to build a business for the future, one that can get you out of a full-time job, one that can make sure that you have time freedom to enjoy the time with your family, but you're also going to give people a good place to stay and live, and we're going to look after these landlords and investors whose properties we are controlling, okay? At the end of the day, you get what you pay for with a lot of training and a lot of way people do things. You can go and have a 3-day seminar, then be thrown out into the big bad world thinking you know everything and struggle because you haven't got that support. And that's where on my programs, we do coaching calls month after month after month with myself or with the specialist knowledge of Graham if it's serviced accommodation, where you come on and you ask us questions and we help you. We help you negotiate the best deals. We help you set yourself up compliantly and successfully, and we show you and help you set the properties up once you have them, whether it's HMOs or whether it's serviced accommodation. We have a package there that can help you. I hope this video's helped you. Visit thepropertyunleashed.com, download your free tools and guides and masterclasses and everything like that, and don't be cheap when it comes to your own knowledge. The best investment you will ever make is the investment in you, and if you take us up on any of this, you will have my team and myself supporting you to build the business you desire that can put you in the right position to buy properties for yourself, which is currently what I'm doing. So at the moment, I have a nice rent-to-rent HMO portfolio. I have a rent-to-rent serviced accommodation portfolio as well, and I am now building up my own portfolio from the profits of these companies. So my legacy, my retirement fund, and my nest egg, and what I want to leave my kids is now being put into place. It takes work, it can take a bit of time, but if you stick with it, it's the same as anything. It's worth putting the time and effort into. I hope you've enjoyed this video. As I say, visit thepropertyunleashed.com. Feel free to reach out to me. Feel free to leave comments. If you've liked this, share it, and all of those good things. So I hope that has just helped you get an understanding of the rent-to-rent strategy if you didn't already know about it. And if you did know about it, maybe you've picked up a couple of tips there. Please make sure that you subscribe to the channel, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. You take care, and bye for now.